Today I'm speaking with Natalie, financial strategist and credit expert. Did I have that right?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome, cool. So, thank you for coming and talking to us today, Natalie. Could you tell us who you are?
Yes. So again, my name is Natalie. I am a credit expert and a financial strategist. Um, I did not set out to do any of that. It just kind of happened by accident. Life circumstances brought me to a place where a lot of people end up asking me how I was able to fix my own credit and improve my own personal finances. And as a result of one person asking me, and then another person asking me, and then their friend recommending, and pretty much their extended friends asking, I realized that I had a business on my hands. And at 28, I left corporate and I ventured out to do this on my own. And it started from me having my own bad credit to me ending up building this and creating a business out of it. So that's
Yeah.
mostly my story.
Yes. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing.
Hmm.
That's how a lot of us end up with in greatness from our own experiences, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. And
Mhm.
so tell us about your journey. What happened, why you ended up with, bad credit or financial problems,
Yeah.
as much as you can share. So tell us the journey so that we understand where you're coming from. And that way, someone who is listening, maybe at some point in that journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that it started maybe, I guess I'm going to blame it on my 18-year-old self if I have to. She was given a credit card in college with no source of income, no direction, no education on how to use this thing. And it was in my hands and it was money and I was using it. And it wasn't until I got a bill in the mail that I was just like, this is interesting. Okay, that was one. And then number two was I went to go try to apply for a car. I was denied. And I needed a car at the time because I lived in Florida. And a lot of the places that you had to go required that you have a vehicle if you want to maneuver around comfortably. So my parents were willing to help to some extent, but I wasn't even able to qualify, let alone try to walk off a lot with the car. And that experience was I want to say one of the first few, like one of the catalyst experiences where credit became like a theme. And I noticed that, okay, I need to learn about what this thing is because if I don't, then I'm going to have other problems down the line. That became evident when I started a business. That became evident when I tried to purchase my first home, and I didn't even really need if speaking financially, I didn't need to leverage my credit, but they still ask for it. So credit is a big central theme, and people don't pay attention to it. And even my parents, they didn't teach me about credit. They didn't teach me about money. They didn't really know. They're immigrants. They came over here. They're just scratching and surviving, barely making ends meet. At one point, my mom became a single mom, so she's worried about everything and more, let alone me getting a credit card or like really understanding the financial system. They were just taught that, this country was the American dream and this is where you come to get educated and live the life. And she was somewhat living proof of that. And didn't really have the tools to give me past that, like get an education and do well in life and go on and be great. So between just ignorance and miseducation and just haphazard spending without real direction, I think it was a combination of all three. No real like life threatening situation that some people face or like divorce or anything like that, luckily, but um, it was just real ignorance and negligence on my part.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that we get told what to do, what to buy, and how to look, but we never get told how to manage, how to navigate paying for all those things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, okay. So what are some of the challenges that you mentioned the challenges that you
Mm-hmm.
face not being able to buy a car on your
Mm-hmm.
own
Yeah.
and you know and I've been a solo mom, raised 3 boys,
Right.
and I know what that's like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you have to choose between food and paying your bills, right?
Your finances,
And
yes.
so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so, what are some of the challenges that you can help us, navigate
Mm-hmm.
as as a solo mom, especially with your experience in being raised by a single mom?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Tell us some of the ways that we could navigate
Mm-hmm.
all the things we have to navigate. I know it's a broad
Right.
question, but
Right.
whatever you come up with will be of help. So
Right.
tell us
No, for
something. Yeah.
sure. So that's such a great question. And it's complex. Like you said, there are so many avenues that you can really, I could really answer the question in 40 different ways if I really sat down and
Mm-hmm.
thought about it. But one thing I will say as a strategist, the part of my job that I love the most and like is my favorite part, I could do it all day, I promise, is just thinking of creative ways that fit into your life that is intentional and going to work for you, right? So your needs and my needs are very different. I have a 1-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mom, right? And I realized coming into this that my needs, I can't impose my needs on what other mothers would want or other mothers would think. So
Right.
looking at your needs and really assessing what your needs are is really the first part. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but there are things that work for everyone across the board, no matter what your financial situation is, no matter what your credit score is.
Mm-hmm.
If you really look at what your financial goals are, these can kind of fit into whatever those might be. So let's say for a lot of people, just from my experience and working with different type of women, one of the financial goals that a lot of women face, especially moms, is the fact that they have a very hard time saving, right?
Yeah.
Saving is just so hard to do because it seems like every dollar always has somewhere to go. And
Yeah.
going into a savings account just never seems to be the priority. So what I encourage moms to do is use a program called Self. Now, this will require that you have a budget. And I only encourage the budget so much because you're going to have to be able to determine how much money you can set aside to actually put into this program. So once you
Mm-hmm.
assessed and accounted for, your expenses versus your income, and you have a clear understanding of what that is, you can determine which plan you'll go into. So how Self works is that you sign up. Anybody can qualify. So don't feel intimidated or scared. You'll sign up. They will open a certificate of deposit on your behalf, and it reflects on your credit report as a loan. Now, personal loans are really difficult to come by. So, and this is all going to tie into each other. So it's going to sound like a lot of scattered information, but it's going to make sense in a second. So because
Okay.
personal loans are very difficult to come by on the credit report, that is a positive reflection on your positive report to have that kind of account reflecting on there. So that's already point number one for why this system is so great, because you get a bump to your score just for that credit mix that the algorithm loves, the FICO algorithm loves. So that's one thing. So the other reason why this is really great is because every single time, depending on the term that you pick, every single time you pay into that certificate of deposit, they're reporting a positive payment history for you on your credit report. So this is also important because credit history, as far as weight, not necessarily value, but as far as weight, is the most important factor on your credit score. If you miss one late payment, if you get one late payment or you miss a payment, your score can drop up to 120, 30, 40, 60 points. So as far as weight, 35% of your score is held up by your payment history. So every single month you have this account where you're paying into the certificate of deposit that's being reported for you, and you're getting positive payment histories just for paying. The beautiful part now, and where the savings comes into it, is that this certificate of deposit that's being reflected as a loan, that's boosting up your payment history, it really seconds as a savings account, because at the end of whatever term you pick, you get all your money back. They will write you a check or they'll deposit the money right into your account. So you were boosting your score the entire time and really setting aside a couple $100 for a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever the term you pick. And then if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, let's say in that year that you've been putting aside, the year that you pick as far as the term, you've been putting aside money or your finances improved in whatever way, you could have that CD transfer into a secured card. So there's a lot of options on how to play around with the self options, but I have a lot of moms who use the self program, and what they do is they know year to year they're going to use it. I still use it to this day, even with my credit being great. I still tap into this program. It's free. It's free points for positive payment history, and I know the money's aside, right? It's just money I don't have to think about. So what I encourage the moms to do is December comes around, you put the money, you set up the plan, and then next December you have Christmas money. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. You saved $550. You save $1,000, and you don't really have to think about it outside of making sure that you can account for whatever that term is, because if you miss a payment, you get the same consequences as if it were a credit card or whatever the case may be. So that's one thing that definitely any mom can integrate right now. Like you can, before close the interview, go sign up. Like you don't even have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next week. You can do this right at this very moment.
Wow. And self stands for what?
Oh, well, it used to be called self-lender. So it was like lending to yourself, but they just shortened it to self. So like myself. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Oh, that's an interesting concept too. Yeah. So you're forced to save while you're building your credit. That's great. Pretty good. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. So you went down the silly part path at 18, like a lot of us did. Yeah. What could have helped you? Apart from the classroom education, because let's face it, there's not that. What could have helped you to think differently about that piece of plastic in your hand?
Yeah. That's a great question. I've never been asked that question before. That's a great question. I think that, no, I know the answer to this. So I think exposure to financial concepts very early on would have been a saving grace, because I would have understood before I ever was offered a credit card what credit was and how it worked, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to mitigate some of that, I actually created 5 financial children's activity books that allow parents as early as 3 years old to introduce their children to these concepts. So they'll learn the word investment, and it doubles as an activity too, right? So one of them is a coloring book, and it just shows the picture, so they get the visual. And then the other one is a handwriting book, one in cursive, one in print. And then it is in Spanish, so that makes the 5. So handwriting in print and cursive in Spanish. So the words are in Spanish as well. So as early as 3 years old, you can purchase this book for your children exclusively on Amazon. I don't sell it on a website. You can only go on Amazon and get it. And you can expose them to these concepts early. And then once they understand what the words are, and there's a glossary in the back that breaks it down as simply as I could put it. And I've tested it with other children in that age group. So you can use the glossary, help them understand it. And then once they get it conceptually, you just find real world application for it. So if you go to the store, right, you can show your child or you can go to an ATM, show your child a receipt, and then they understand what a balance is, right? They understand that what I took out versus what's left is the balance. They, if they can add, they can understand that. And then it also goes over concepts like credit or credit card. If you're using a credit card, it goes over APR. If you understand what APR or APY is, if you're saving. So these concepts, we don't give kids enough credit. And I feel like, no pun intended, I feel like if we were to expose the kids to these concepts early enough, or if I were exposed to these concepts early enough and then given the chance to have real life application, I almost want to say I know without a shadow of a doubt that I would have had an advantage financially, academically, socially, whatever the case may be, because money is integrated into everything. So definitely exposure early.
Yeah, at least it would have given you pause, right. And your decisions would have been more conscious, even if they were the wrong one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Oh wow! Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna stop this moment and ask you, what is Nathalie grateful for today?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh man. Okay. So you know what's so funny? I was actually I had a meeting today, and I was working with a woman who was very distraught about her financial situation because she was a mom, and a lot of her anxiety was around being able to leave a legacy for her children, right? Leave money for her children, have life insurance or like guardianship. And she's just going through the things. She's not even, the baby's not even here yet, but she's going through the things. And I remember being in that place about maybe 7 months pregnant. And I'm just like, what if something happens to me? What if I die? What is she gonna, and I'm just like praying every day that I stay alive so my baby can live this, I can live to see my baby, grow into an older woman. And I was just grateful for having gone through that journey and being able to navigate it with help. Because I have financial advisors. There's people that I reach out to. Just being in that position and knowing what to do, like knowing who to call, having the security of knowing that there are, because of my work, not because of nothing handed to me, not because, not for lack of prayer or hard work, but because of those things, I am able to leave my child in a position where if God forbid I were to close my eyes right now, she'll be okay for life.
Yeah.
And I know that's not something that very many people can say. And I'm grateful for the opportunity and the blessing. And for whatever reason, it's me that can say it. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us how we could get in touch with you. And I think you have a discount for us, right? A discount
yes,
code?
I do. So I'm going to leave I'm going to give you the discount information so you can put it in the show notes. But it gives you a percentage off of the book. I would highly encourage, other than the fact that, I'm selling a book, I would highly encourage that if you do have any credit issues, the book goes through every single step I would do myself, years of experience working with others. It outlines exactly what I've done step by step for other people. So there's no like secret that's left out or a thing that won't work. If you do have any questions, it might just be particular to your situation, but the steps are there. The templates are there. The information's there. Everything I've done over the last 8-9 years has been put into this book so that you can understand your credit, fix your credit, and make sure that you never go back to poor credit. So if you do want to grab the book, I know it will be useful. I can say with 100% certainty there's going to be something in there you didn't know and that you can apply today that will definitely be helpful. So that book is on www.convertedcredit.com. That's www.convertedcredit.com. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I am Nat Noise on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. I am Nat Noise. So that's how you connect with me.
All right, great. Thank you. And we'll put those links in the show notes so people can get in touch with you. Yes?
For sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I am, pretend I am a solo mom in a lot of financial mess and my credit's bad. I have a little bit of money. I'm working paycheck to paycheck. What's my first step?
Yeah.
If I really want this over with. This kind of life.
So, okay, I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna add 2 or 3 things to your example, only because this is an example I see a lot. So, I would say that assuming this person has a lot of credit card debt, especially, or even loans, right? First thing we want to do is eliminate that debt, because what ends up happening is that a lot of consumers end up paying thousands, sometimes 5 figures in interest. So the goal would be to set up a budget. And this is not a budget that's, we're just going to pull up some spreadsheet and just put some numbers in. We're going through every single transaction. It's painstaking, but it's so worth it, because not only do you really know how much you're spending, most people don't know, but you'll really get to know how much you're spending. And then on the back end, you can plug in the number of your discretionary income, which means like whatever's left over after all things have been accounted for. And you will plug in to a training that I've done for years about how to eliminate your interest. It's very similar to the snowball method that Dave Ramsey talks about. But the goal, whether you use my training or Dave Ramsey's training, the goal is just to eliminate as much interest as possible. You got to get ahead of it, because if you don't, you'll end up paying 2, 3, 4, 5 times what you would have paid for whatever the balance on that loan or credit card is. So that's definitely number one. So we're not burning money for any reason. Number two, once you have that budget and and you have that that plan put in place for making sure that you can eliminate your debt, is to look at where you can actually make more money. People don't know that, there's so much money out there. It's kind of ridiculous how much money we leave on the table. Especially if you are a Black woman, there is money set aside from the government just to pay you. It's just there. And they want to use it. They have to use it or they'll lose their allocations. So, if you have a business, especially government contracting, you can make a lot of money that way. You can also Airbnb. If you have a degree, you should be consulting. If you have a specialty, there's money online. People, especially like older women, I love seeing older women get on like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, because when they realize that there's grandma's remedies, someone needs that. Someone doesn't know about it. If you rub some cloves together, you put it on that tooth, the pain's away, So put a link in your bio to some clove that, and show the process. And if you can structure your business in a way where you can start selling this product, sell it. If there's, and you'll be surprised how many, I do it all the time. I buy things off TikTok. I'm like, oh my gosh, that worked. I didn't even know that was the thing I needed. And I didn't really need it, but you add a link, you get an affiliate link on Amazon, and then you sell it. And when somebody buys it, Amazon gives you a piece of it. Your life can absolutely be a sales funnel. It could be a way to get some money. So just to really think about their day-to-day, what they do, even if you're a mom, how you navigate dropping the kids off to sports and cooking dinner, what you made for dinner. It can give someone an idea. And then if you drop a recipe, get an email, sell something on the back end, there's just so many opportunities to make money. So we look at how you can increase your income by 20, 30, 40, 50%. And you'd be surprised. People don't know what the options are to just make more. And that's one of my goals, because it shouldn't just be eliminating debt. We want to live too, right? We want to have fun. Right. We want to not have to deal with financial trauma or worry about how we're going to make ends meet. We want to be able to have a little bit of wiggle room. So definitely looking into how to make more for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like that. I like that 3 steps, because a lot of professionals end at, get rid of the debt, right? Then what, Yeah, so right. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you, Nathalie, for coming and talking to me today. Anything else?
There's so much I could say. So if there's a question that you have specifically, just let me know and I will definitely try to answer. And if there's something specific to you, then just sign up for a consultation or just get the book and we can go from there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming and talking to us.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.